Hello everyone, tonight's story comes from Taichung, Taiwan, and it is something locals rarely speak about, a story buried under fear and silence, known simply as the clinic that didn't exist. In 2016, a 22-year-old exchange student named Maylin was studying in Taichung and working part-time at a small cafe to support herself. One rainy night, after a long shift, she chose the wrong route home, a narrow, dimly lit street that people usually avoided after dark. The sky rumbled, wind blew dust across the empty road, and halfway down the narrow lane, she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her chest, dizziness, and an overwhelming weakness spreading through her body. She took out her phone to search for a nearby clinic, but every result showed closed. As she stepped forward, she noticed something strange. A small medical clinic she had never seen before, even though she had passed this road many times. A flickering red cross sign glowed weakly above its entrance, and the door was slightly open as if someone was expecting her. Desperate, she walked inside. The air was freezing unnaturally cold, and the silence felt heavy, like the entire building was holding its breath. Chairs in the waiting area were covered in dust, the reception desk was empty, and the lights buzzed faintly. Sitting alone at the far end of the room was an elderly doctor, his face hidden in the shadow of a dim overhead lamp. Without lifting his head, he said in a cracked, emotionless voice, "You came just in time." Startled, yet too weak to walk away, Maylin explained her symptoms. The doctor slowly rose, his movements stiff and unnatural, and gestured for her to follow him. As they moved down a long corridor, she noticed old medical portraits hanging on the walls, except every single face had been violently scratched out, leaving deep knife-like gouges. She felt a shiver crawl up her spine. The examination room was even colder. The doctor picked up an old rust-stained stethoscope and pressed it to her chest. Instantly the lights began to flicker, and she felt pressure deep in her lungs. In a whisper barely audible, the doctor said, "Your heart is slowing, but I can keep it beating if you stay." Before she could react, she felt something cold grip her wrist, thin, bony fingers coming from underneath the examination table. She looked down and saw pale knuckles curling around her arm. Terrified, she jerked away, screaming. The doctor didn't help her. He didn't even move. He simply said, "Don't go. Your treatment isn't finished." Maylin ran out of the room, but the corridor behind her wasn't the same as before. It had stretched impossibly long, with dozens of doors on each side. Behind these doors came muffled noises, whispers, crying, groans, and metal equipment clattering. Suddenly, all the sounds stopped at once, replaced by a single whisper echoing from behind her. "You came just in time." She sprinted toward the entrance, finally grabbing the door handle and pulling it open, only to find darkness outside. No street, no lights, no buildings, just pitch black emptiness stretching endlessly. She shut the door in panic and turned around, now gasping for air. At the far end of the hallway, she saw the doctor slowly moving toward her, but his legs weren't walking. He was gliding, as if his feet weren't touching the ground. The lights flickered again and again, each flash bringing him closer. She screamed and ran to a side exit door she hadn't noticed before, burst through it, and stumbled out into the street. The moment she touched the pavement, everything behind her went silent. When she turned around, the clinic was gone. In its place was an empty, cracked concrete lot surrounded by overgrown weeds. Confused and shaking, she ran home and collapsed. The next morning, she returned with police, insisting there had been a clinic there the previous night. But the officers told her that the clinic on that land had burned down in 1998, killing a doctor and several patients inside. Locals said the doctor still roamed the ruins, searching for anyone wandering nearby, especially those whose hearts were weak or slowing. Maylin moved out of that neighborhood within a week. But even now, years later, when she lies awake at night, she swears she sometimes hears a whisper drifting through the darkness, cold and close to her ear. "You came just in time."